Hey everyone, Julian here. Today I'm going to be talking to you about where you've been wasting your time on music production and a lot of misinformation out there, sort of dispelling that, and also how to fix it and make the best tracks of your life. So stick around to the end because there's going to be a lot of gems in this video and you won't want to miss any of them. To go along with this video, you can also check out my samples. Link is at the top of the description. My website's got the best samples out there for dance music and electronic music in general, electronicsamples.com. I put a lot of time into studying these genres, and if you grab some of these samples, I promise you'll make the best tracks of your life. I've got a little discount code there as well, so definitely don't miss out on that. Links at the top of the description. Thanks for the support, guys, and let's dive in. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk to you about is we live in the golden era of music and music production. This is a very good thing. In a lot of ways, we can share information, we can learn from pros, and we can learn from people that have been studying for a long time and make, a lot, or save ourselves a lot of time and not make a lot of the mistakes. But it can also be a bad thing, because the thing is obviously there's a lot of misinformation out there as well. There's a lot of people that think they know what they're talking about, and maybe they don't really know. And, I'm sure a lot of us have been on different subreddits and different forums and stuff. There's a lot of good information on there, but trust me, there's a lot of stuff that'll confuse you. I know, because I used to follow a lot of that advice, and I would get very confused, and my tracks wouldn't quite sound like what they were saying it was going to sound like. And I think there's a lot... there's a whole meme out there about over-compressing and over-processing sounds, and you can definitely get a lot of bad advice. And I think bad advice at the start can really throw you off. I really don't think you need to actually study that much information. Learn what these things do as you go. Maybe you don't read a whole book on compression, right? Or try to read a whole article written by some guy that doesn't really know what he's talking about on compression. Instead, just make a track. And if you need compression, study what it does quickly there, and if you need that, do it. If not, move on, because I think a lot of this misinformation can mess us up, and that's where we start to waste time, and that's where we start to get stuck, because we think we're building this foundation, but really all we're building is just kind of like a weak foundation with not really great stuff that's going to set you to make good tracks. And the other thing that really makes us bad is obviously capitalism is inexplicably linked to music production at this point, because ever since the beginning of this golden era that we're in, obviously there's been a lot of companies, there's been a lot of people that have seen opportunities in it, and they've kind of used their company, or they're trying to make money to push a lot of misinformation as well. Oh, you need all these plugins. You need a plugin that's going to do this and this and this for you. Oh, we figured out how to make it so it cuts this out with the other sound, and all this stuff. And then that whole thing messes people up as well, because they're sitting there going, man, all I have is the Ableton EQ. I don't have insert EQ plugin here. I can't make great music. And it's a lot of that stuff is people with an agenda. If you're looking at something from a company and they're saying, oh, yeah, you need this, this is the only way to make music is if you have this one high quality EQ or compressor or something. It's why are they telling you that? Well, they're telling you that because they want to sell you something. And I think that really hurts a lot of stuff too. Because even just that idea that you need to just keep buying and buying and buying and building up all these plugins and all this gear and all that really wastes a lot of time. And people give a lot of energy to that they don't end up giving to their tracks. And that really messes us up as well. So I think these two things, the fact there's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of people thinking they know a lot of stuff and really just kind of building a weak foundation. And then also the fact with the whole capitalism issue, or at least just the issue of people trying to sell you something and then making you think that they're giving you advice that's supposed to help you. These have really kind of muddied the waters a little bit. And for a lot of new producers, although they had this great foundation to start on, it's that, it's not really made of something solid. And I think really all you need to know at the beginning is, like I said, how to use the DAW, or basic stuff about music. Really just understand how music works more so, which you can get just from sitting there and spending an afternoon listening to really great music. But if you focus on just really making good grooves, music that's nicely in harmony with itself, meaning everything's in tune, it's not overly overproduced or too many elements or too overstuffed. It's nice and simple and it works. And then using the best possible sounds that you can to do that. I really think if you just focus on those things, you can really save yourself a lot of time. And all these issues, you won't be sitting there on a forum asking oh, why I've got 3 compressors on my bass. Why doesn't it sound good? Because you kind of already are just focused on using a bass sound that's really good. So you're not trying to do all that, right? So I really think after spending about 11, 12 years now producing, it's been a long time, man. I really think that's the key. Is just learn how to make a really good groove, Learn how to make stuff that's, like I said, harmonious, meaning in key and not overstuffed, nice and simple, and it works and it has breathing room. And then use the best sounds you can. And that's all you need. You don't need all this misinformation that's out there. And you don't need to read the same stuff over and over. Because that's the other thing, with a lot of these forums and stuff. A lot of times it can kind of become just like a big cesspool where people just kind of say the same things over and over and over. And it's like, are you making music or are you just saying the same thing on a forum, right? So I think you really just, if you focus on getting the best quality sounds, that's going to get you a lot further as well, because like you can't build, like if you have, okay, you could have the best plan for a house, right? Like you could build a perfect house with like this amazing plan, get the best architect in the world. But if it's made of bricks that are ready to crumble, the whole thing is just going to crumble, right? And it's kind of the same thing with music. It's like you can learn all this stuff about processing and how to work with sounds and do all that, and then get kind of like weak samples and think you're going to fix them. But ultimately, it's going to crumble. But if you really just focus on getting great sounds to start with, you're not going to run into so many problems later. And you're not going to have to do all this over processing and stuff. Like if you just have kicks that work really, really well, you're not going to worry about all this like splitting a kick and doing all this extra stuff that you don't really need to do, that you're trying to do because you think if you take a weak sound and try to fix it with all that over processing, it's going to make it something that it's not, and it just never works. So you really want to focus on getting good sounds, which, little shameless plug, definitely check out electronicsamples.com, link at the top of the description for that. But yeah, so if you do all this, and also what you really need to do is study tracks too, is like I said, like a lot of this stuff doesn't come from reading or even watching a video, to be honest with you. It just comes from like listening to tracks and closing your eyes and really getting lost in them and like figuring out what's going on. Like even if, okay, you obviously can't hear like, oh, they used like this plugin and it's this preset or whatever, but you can hear a lot and you can tell what's going on. And after a while, you'll tune your ear to be able to kind of hear it for production. So I really think you need to study tracks too. And that's not really talked about enough. Like all these people that are talking about, oh, study compression, read a whole book on that. No, just listen to like a ton of tracks. Listen through like a whole techno playlist. And then you'll be able to make techno a lot better than if you read a whole book on compression. At the end of the day, it's just these three things. It's all that matters. It's just focus on the basics of making a really high quality track. Use the best possible sounds and samples that you can to do that. And then study the tracks that you like. Study the best tracks you can find. I promise, if you do those three things, you will get where you're trying to get. It's really going to stop wasting a lot of time for you. And you're going to get a lot further with music production. So yeah, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Just wanted to do a little bit of a different type of video today. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. If you want to see more of these kind of commentary videos, I have a lot of thoughts about this, so I would definitely love to make more videos like this. As always, make sure to subscribe. Check out my website, electronicsamples.com, for the best sounds in the game. If you grab some of these, I promise it's really going to take your tracks to the next level today. You're going to see exactly what I was talking about in this video. If you want to get to the next level, you can also check out my lessons, track finishing, ghost production. Link for all that's at the top of the description. Thanks for the support, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.